Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another Salesforce Saturday-ish kind of thing. Not really, though. I'm EJ Bance, and I am a Salesforce consultant, I suppose. I've been doing consulting for 12, 13 years now in the Salesforce world, but I've been a enterprise software developer for, I don't even know, 25, 30 years, basically my whole career. And but I am just completely obsessed with Salesforce. Have been for over a decade, and this is just me sharing what I do for fun, basically. Um, I like to get up early on a Saturday morning and play with Salesforce. So today, last week I actually had a couple of people ask me for examples of how to uh, connect Salesforce Agentforce to a REST API. Basically, um, so I guess you could kind of break it up into two things then. So it's just how do you have Salesforce call out to an external service? And then once you have that running, how do you then call that from Agentforce? So what I have in my head is this idea of maybe using my developer org to have the Agentforce stuff running and then have it call out into my actual production org to have it like insert an account, just for example. And I started mocking up a diagram of what this might look like from a flow type of point of view, because really I need to start at the very low level stuff here. And until I get all this working, do I actually start building any of the Agentforce stuff? But if I start from the Agentforce and describe it, the agent is going to call a topic, which then calls an action. And here I have to pick two paths. I could either do this in Apex code or do it in a flow. And technically I could do it in a flow, and calling external services from flows are pretty easy. But the thing that I don't like about them is that anytime I want to change the definition of this external service, I basically have to delete all of the references in any versions of flows, not only the active version, but any previous deactivated versions. And that is a pain. And I I guess these days I just try to avoid it. And I would rather have it be an Apex invocable thing and then just let the flow call that. So I'm going to skip the flow for today's example and just go straight Apex, expose an invocable method that an action can call, and then have that do a call out to my actual do wow production org. And I'm sorry, for those of you that don't know me, DoWow is the consulting company that I've been running for 5 or 6 years now. We do Salesforce consulting, managed services, quick start implementations of Agentforce on a fixed bid type of price. I have pricing on our website. If you're interested in such services, our managed services starts at $5,000 a month, and we do Agentforce per use setups for $2,500 a use case. So this would be like an example of a $2,500 use case where we would say we will create an agent for you that is capable of doing a call out to another service to insert an account, for example. That might be the use case. If I go back to my Figma, so that's my pitch about my company. Let's get back to making this happen. So I'm going to start with the connected app because that is takes time to propagate throughout the system, and the faster I get this created, the less time I have to wait. Connected apps are kind of your fingerprint of who the request is coming from. I'm going to be creating it inside of my developer org. I think technically this connected app could exist in any org. It's not specific to the org that you're calling in any way, or necessarily the one that you're calling from. But it should be something that is going to live throughout the life of your application. For example, you wouldn't want to create it in a sandbox that you then refresh and then lose. You just want it to be something that lives forever. For this, it doesn't really matter all that much. It's just a demo. So to create a connected app, we go into the app manager. We create a new connected app. And we'll give it a name. We'll say this is the next level men demo. Put in my credentials. We have to enable it for OAuth. And then we have to give it a temporary URL that we're going to come back and update once we create the auth provider. So I'll just put in something temporary. These are the scopes that this thing will have access to do. I'm not going to be too restrictive here. I'll give it full and the ability to refresh tokens. So I save that, and then this will give us the credentials then that we can use to code into the auth provider. You shouldn't share these, but for this, I don't really care. Again, I need to authenticate. Let's see. One of those super high level trust ones. So gotta log into my email. Okay. I'll probably just reset this key and password after I'm done with the live stream. So I'm going to put this in a, maybe I'll just leave this tab open and I'll tab back and forth. So I need to create an auth provider. And so this is going to be the thing that we're calling into Salesforce. If you're not calling into Salesforce and you want to call some other thing that uses OAuth, you could use the OpenID Connect, and then I think that'll probably work for you. This Salesforce one just has stuff defaulted that is specific to Salesforce, so it's a little bit easier. But I think technically I probably could use OpenID Connect for this. But this is easy. And this is basically just a generic production login for Salesforce. I mean, I can use this to connect to any app that I have login for. So I'll put my credentials here from connected app. And then if I was calling in a sandbox, then this would have to be different. It would have to be the test.salesforce.com. Or if I was calling into an org that maybe prevents the standard login and needed to use like the custom domain login, then you'd have to change this as well. So that's it. I'll save this and then I'll get the callback URL right here, which is what I use to then go back and update the connected app. So okay, go back, edit, and where's my callback? Right. Boom. Boom. Okay. So now I can start setting up name credentials. so that I can make the call out. I'm probably still gonna, unless this takes 10 minutes for me to do it, which I don't think it will, it's not gonna work until a few minutes later. But I'll start to create it. The weird thing about named credentials is that you have to start with the external credential. I don't want to do that. Thank you. So these are ones I've set up before. So I'll create my new one. Interesting. Maybe I should just use this one. What is this one? Oh, this is when I was doing the metadata stuff. I'll just create a new one. If you're going the flow route, type. So that I see a type in Mike. So I'll just make this explicit so that I can remember what it's for. I'll say it's the Salesforce Dubao production. And we are auth. And we are going to, this means that it's going to pop up and ask us to log in. And for the scope, full and refresh token. Identity provider is the one that we created, which is this one. And now we can create our named credential that uses the external credential. Production. I guess for this, I want it to be my dubao.my.salesforce.com. That should be it. Make it secure. Michael says, if you're going through the flow route, which of the types of flows would you use? So the flow, in order to be called from Agentforce action, should be I want to say headless, but that's not the right word. Not a screen flow, an automated flow. I forget what it says. Flows. Auto launched flow. From scratch. Auto launch flow. No trigger. And then you create variables that are checked as input and output. And then that's how the agent gets data in and out of the flow. Technically, this is the same way you would create a subflow. Yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, so we have name credentials. Now we got to start coding. Orchestrated. I've never used the orchestrated stuff. I know you get like a little bit of it for free, but then you have to pay for orchestrated flows. And I haven't messed with them. So this is the, hey Thunderbird, how you doing? And this is the project that I had open from last week. I'm just going to start creating a new Apex class for this, and I don't know what to call it. gonna create a new class. And it is, I don't know. We'll call it the DoWow prod service. Because this thing's going to be specific for connecting to my DoWow production. Probably a horrible name. Should probably think through it more because you can't have like multiple invocable methods inside of one class. It's basically one invocable for every class. So really, this can't do all of the things. This can only just do like the one thing, like create account. So I probably should have named it account service, but whatever. So this is where I'd probably start using the AI to help stub out some of this. So I'll close this one and I'll create a new one. And I've got mine set to Grok 3. I've kind of been experimenting with different models. I personally find Grok 3 to work very well for Salesforce coding. And the OpenAI stuff still seems to just use things that don't exist. So we will tell it to create an invocable method to make a call out using a named credential called DoWow production that will insert a new account record using the REST API. Period. Input for the invocable method should be just an account name, period. It should return the record ID that was created using the REST API. Boy, I wonder if it's going to create a whole new class. It created a whole new class. Okay. It's not quite what I wanted it to do. Where did it create it? Count call out. So it created this one. So it's got the invocable. It's returning a list of strings. That's good. And it accepts the names of strings. That's good. It's doing some checking for me. I like that. So it knew that in order to get the JSON right, it needs to use a map of strings. That's cool. So it's using name. That's good. So it serializes it to the JSON body. So that's good. This is the correct URL, but I'm going to use a newer API version, 63. And then we'll have to fix this named credential. And it should be this value. It's doing a post of JSON and it passes it. That looks good to me. And I'm just looking to see where it returns the result. So it's returning IDs, it's adding it, and it created it at the top. This looks pretty good. Well, so the input is account names, and it's really just grabbing the first account name. So this technically is not right. So this should really do a loop. It should say like for account name. Should do this in the loop. Okay. And it also messed up with creating this class because it doesn't have the matching XML file that's needed. So I wonder if I can just tell it to create the missing XML. Create the missing metadata XML file that goes with this Apex class so that I can deploy it. Okay, so there it created it. It's got the version right. It looks reasonable. All right, so we'll try to deploy it. It deployed. Okay, so we still have to authenticate the named credential, and I'm sure it's been long enough now, so it should work. So inside of the external credential, we create a principal that will be myself, and we will put full refresh token. And now we authenticate it. Open the window to log into production org. Don't know if it knows my password. Good. Authenticate with my app. Good. Should show me. Yes. So this is my connected app name. And we're saying, do we want to grant access to do everything? So, I mean, if you're doing the real world, you should really just figure out the bare minimums of what you need to do. But I don't really care for this. So that is authenticated. So now I have to give my user permission to use this principal that we created. And I usually create a permission set for that. Duo production access. And there should be, yep, external credential principal access. And if you're giving this to somebody that's not like a system admin and their profile's already locked down, then there's another thing that I always got stuck on with getting this to work, and that the list of external credentials is like some sort of object in the system, and the user needs to have access to see that object. And it always takes me forever to figure out that that's what's going on. So maybe I can save you some time here. External, it's this one, user external credentials. By default, you don't have access to that. And so you got to add that. It's not, I'm going to be fine as an admin because I think I have access to just see everything already. Um, so you might want to let it see all of the things for this. And then I'll add my user to it. Guess it's that one. Okay. So now I should try to call that class. I like to do that through just anonymous Apex code. So it's this count callout service dot create account. And sometimes it's convenient to just put sample here. Say, so then in VS Code, you can highlight a line of code and you can do the execute anonymous. And let's see if we get an error. No error. I probably should have outputted the response. But what I'll do is I'll open up my production org here. So production org, and the one that was created just a minute ago. So we've connected. That's pretty cool. You know, I really don't use the REST API that often. And before I started the stream, I started looking at the types of things that you can do with the REST API. And there's a lot of cool stuff. I guess I closed. Maybe oh no, this is it here. I was looking up how to create a record, and I guess I didn't really need to know because the AI took care of it for me. But this is the REST API developer guide. And I mean, not only working with records, but you can work with all the metadata. You can, I think there's even a way to like call prompt templates that are in that org and have it do its AI thing and then come back with a response. I'm very interested in trying that out because then I don't have to do queries like externally. I could prompt that does a query that then just returns the data. So I'd like to experiment with that at some point in my life, maybe next weekend. But anyway, so now that we've got the connection going, let's now try to invoke this from Agentforce. Agentforce. Start doing the Agentforce stuff. So I'll mess with the existing employee agent. So we do that through Agentforce agents. The employee one is the one that you see when you, hey, where's my icon? Oh, when you click this little guy up here, this panel on the right. So we will open that and go into the builder. And I think whenever you monkey with this, you kind of have to deactivate it, which kind of seems weird. Because now basically nobody can call any of these topics. but it's just my dev org. So let's see, we don't really have a topic for creating accounts, especially not one in another system. So we'll create a new topic. And now we have to describe it. This is all English. I'm going to use my voice. This topic is responsible for creating accounts in the DoWow production org. That did a terrible job. The DoWow production org. Leave it at that. So now, based on that description, it's automatically filled in all this other stuff. So the more descriptive you are at the beginning, the less work you have to do here. So this is the topic account creation. Your job is only create accounts at the DoWow prod, collecting credit information, ask the user for necessary details, such as, well, we don't need email. We just need the name. Anything required. The account. Verify provided, make sure it's accurate. That's cool. Confirm. Okay. So for example, we'll say create account test in DoWow. I don't have an action yet, so we gotta do that next. And I should look at how the Apex named the input. Geez, how did that get in here? Looks like my voice recognition got in here somehow. There we go. So yeah, it doesn't really know what this is. There's nothing that describes it. So we're gonna have to type it when we create the action. It's okay. We'll create action. This is Apex. It's an invocable. I have no idea what this is. I should look into this one. I do invocables. Oh, so this is the description, I think, that was put here. Okay. Creates an account. Don't need to tell it that it's REST. We don't need, none of this really makes sense for agent instructions. Creates an account. System. Creating account is what the user sees. So the name of the account to be created. Output is show this, or this is the name, this is the record ID that was created. And we'll show that. You always have to have at least one that shows it. This is required input, so we'll mark it required, and we can, the AI is going to figure it out, so we don't necessarily have to click that. So that's it. All right, now we can try it. Create an account in Duo with name blah, blah, blah. Creating account. So, and there's the record ID. So now if I come in here and refresh, got my account. Yay, we did it. And we didn't make any mistakes. That's interesting. Interesting. So this took just over a half hour. If I were to deploy to prod, I would still need test class for that invocable. But besides that, it's pretty straightforward. So for me, I guess I really want to explore more what that other option was when I created the action to do Apex REST. I don't know what that is. Do any of you know what this is? Beta. Oh, so this is similar to it's probably an external service. It's probably so I think it's the same thing that the flows use to create external service. External service. So these are open API stuff is Swagger. You can create a REST endpoint using the Swagger API. Oh, I guess MuleSoft too. The Swagger API, where you basically give it a set of JSON that describes the REST endpoint, and then it automatically creates a set of Apex classes to use for input and output. And it was the same thing that I was describing, where if you make any changes to that, you first have to remove all the references to it. And that's why I don't like to use it. But I think it's handy for people that can't code and someone just hands them the Swagger file and then they can import it and use it. I've used it in a couple of projects and I really regretted using it in the long run because like anytime somebody wanted to make a change, it was very painful. Yeah. So that's all I have for this one. This actually went faster than I thought it would. Like in my head, I was thinking it would probably take about an hour. It was only a half hour. I think I see myself using this to help me log time in other people's systems. Obviously, the dangerous part of this is that, you're just calling the REST API. So you are manually inserting data, which I think a lot of people don't realize that end users can do. I think sometimes people use page layouts to try to like restrict what a person can add to a record or modify on a record, but it's very easy for people to use third-party tools like connecting Excel to Salesforce or using Salesforce Inspector to just bypass all those page layouts and just access the data directly. So usually when I'm on enterprise projects and they start talking about like, don't let a user edit this field, I have to point out that if you want to do that, you really have to put in validation roles or put restrictions on on the fields directly, and you can't really just rely on making a screen that makes it convenient or inconvenient for them to edit data. I've still been using a lot of flows to do validation rules instead of just straight validation rules so that they can be more robust in the logic. So no, I don't have anything else. If y'all have other things you want me to explore next week, or actually on Wednesday, I'll probably do another one Wednesday evening. Let me know. Other than that, have an awesome weekend. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.